Some folks say Oobu. Some folks say Joobu. But I say Joobu, mama.
That's right, guys. That's what I want to know. What's it all about, this Ubu Joobu, as you heard in the opening sequence of this video? And that one little clip there from Wing's one-hand clapping performances in the studio, singing about Ubu Joobu. Well, so Ubu Joobu ended up being a radio show that McCartney created back in the mid-90s with Linda and other people, where he, gave these really great interviews and told stories, anecdotes. He put his sound collages together, played some great, favorite tracks of his, and just, it was a fun series. It was a series of 15 total episodes. And there you go right there with the numerology. In 15, you reduce that 1 plus 5, you get 6. So Bill's number is in that episode number of the series. And it was a series that was broadcasted only in America on very limited airspace. Kind of curious why they did that in just a limited airspace, but it was kind of a fun underground project, and a lot of songs, unreleased songs, were included in these radio shows. And so he did release a remastered version of his Flaming Pie CD, which included all of the Ubu Joobu episodes and songs and everything, and a lot of fun to listen to. I highly recommend it. I will include a link in the description of where you can go check those out, because they're worth a listen. They're fun. So Ubu Joobu, obviously this was something in Billy's head back from the 70s, right? He was saying that in that one hand clapping at the end of Sea Moon, and just sing it out. So I started thinking, I've listened to these tracks and I've always found Ubu Joobu to be very curious. Why Ubu Joobu? There's not a lot of deep information about Ubu Joobu when I went to go kind of look it up, and so my curiosity was not satisfied. So I chose to dig a little bit deeper, because we know Billy's background in esoteric knowledge and all of that stuff, right? And I can't help but think, my gut tells me that this phrase, Ubu Joobu, has some sort of magical significance, kind of like the word abracadabra does, or so mote it be. Those types of phrases have power and significance behind them. And so with a little bit of deeper, research and looking into certain things, I found some interesting information that I just wanted to share with you guys, because again, these are just little breadcrumbs that he likes to leave, and I would think he would be thrilled to find that people are kind of discovering these little breadcrumbs that he leaves, because it's fun for me to figure this stuff out and just to take a look at it, because I'm a major nerdy fan when it comes to him and his career. And yeah, so I had some help with some of this research, as always, with my lovely, beautiful friend Kat from the Supernatural Beatles. So shout outs and thanks to her for helping me with a little bit of this research. So basically, the phrase Ubu Joobu, to me, that conjures up images of like African juju kind of stuff, right? Ubu Joobu. I don't know. I just think of, ooh, that juju that you do. I don't know. The voodoo that you do. It's not voodoo. It's juju. But when you look at the Wikipedia, explanation for Ubu Joobu being used, it's stated that this show's name was inspired by a BBC production of Alfred Jarry's Ubu Cuckoo. And so this is where the rabbit hole starts, my friends. It's very interesting. It goes deep with this. If you take a look at Mr. Alfred Jarry, well, he was actually a French symbolist writer who was best known for his play called Ubu Roi, often cited as a forerunner for the Dada, Surrealist, and Futurist movements of the 1920s and the 1930s. The Dada and Surrealism movements and the Futurist movements, and so that gives roots back to Billy's time with the Bonzos and, the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. They got their name as an adaptation from Dada, that movement of being just out of this world, kind of like the Monty Python boys were to comedy. The Bonzos were that to music, just taking the piss out of showbiz and kind of throwing all of this ridiculousness and hero worship back into people's faces and just kind of taking the piss out of it, brilliantly, if I may add. So it's just very interesting. This guy was also a very, very interesting tidbit here. He coined the term and the philosophical concept of pataphysics. That is right. Pataphysics. Does that ring a bell? Joan was quizzical, studied pataphysical science in the home. From Maxwell's Silver Hammer. Yeah, just another weird connection there, right? And so pataphysics is basically a philosophy of science invented by Jarry, intended to be a parody of science, difficult to be simply defined or pinned down. It has to be described as the science of imaginary solutions. It's kind of interesting. It's also said to be that it's a branch of philosophy that examines imaginary phenomenon that exists in a world beyond metaphysics. Okay, so it's a science of imaginary solutions, basically. So he coined that phrase, and again, here's Billy using that in Maxwell's Silver Hammer. So interesting connection there, especially considering that Ubu Joobu came from, is said to have been a derivative of this Ubu Cuckoo, which is the second movement of his play Ubu Roi. So that is, it even says, I found a little excerpt saying, of talking about, Jarry's influence in modern culture. And this excerpt says, in her book, Linda McCartney's 60s Portrait of an Era, Linda McCartney mentions that Paul had become interested in avant-garde theater and immersed himself in the writings of Jarry. This is how McCartney discovered the word pataphysical, which he used in the lyrics of his song Maxwell Silver Hammer. So there you go, guys. If you take a look at the actual play, guys, Ubu Roi, which Ubu Cuckoo is part of, this character Ubu, Pierre Ubu, is basically a representation of the modern man. Somebody who is, he's an anti-hero. He's fat, he's ugly, vulgar, gluttonous, grandiose, dishonest. He's stupid, he's juvenile, he's cowardly, cruel, evil. He's just an awful, awful person. But he also represents the King of Poland at the time. And this play follows and explores the King of Poland's political, marital, and felonious exploits, basically. So Jarry invents this sort of like burlesque performance with this play. And there is a French version of the play, which I'll include a link to, which Kat found online. So if anybody knows French, you can check it out. The visuals of it are very surreal and kind of jarring as well. So kind of interesting. But you get to this play, Ubu Roi, right? And this is where Pierre, I don't know if it's Pierre or Pere. It's P-E-R-E, Ubu. He appears in this act as the Antichrist. So this play begins with a startling sequence of images of garbled Christianity, from which Ubu emerges as the new Messiah. Does this ring a bell to any of you? Billy, coming in as Horus, to bring in this Aeon of Horus. He is the Messiah of Crowleyanity, right? And I can't help but see some similarities, possibly, of Crowley and the character Ubu themselves. They're very, very similar in their descriptions and whatnot. So just, it's very interesting. Also, this Ubu character gets stuck inside of a statue in Memnon, the Colossus of Memnon. He gets stuck in this ancient Egyptian, tunnel. So he's who else was trapped inside of, who was inside of an Egyptian monument, Crowley, right? So I can't help but think of the Ubu character being very similar and lined up to Crowley here. Just kind of funny. And the fact of the Messiah, it just makes me think of what Memoirs tells us, being the whole connection to Crowley, this play, Ubu Roi, which Ubu Cuckoo is included in, is about this Ubu character becoming the Messiah, or being represented as the new Messiah, and Christianity just kind of crumbling to the ground, and that is what this Age of Aquarius / Aeon of Horus is, and that is what Billy is said to be doing, is being the bringer of this age of Aquarius. So there you go, guys. So like the connection could possibly be, Ubu Joobu to this Alfred Jarry. Obviously Billy has taken from Mr. Jarry in the past, using pataphysical science and all of it, in Maxwell Silver Hammer. So that's just very interesting to me. So I also decided to plug in Ubu Joobu to the Gematria calculator just to see what came up. In Hebrew Gematria, it comes up as 1204. In English Gematria, it comes up as 696. There you go. And in simple gematria, it comes up as 116, which to me that looks like a 911 inverted. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. But I had a little bit of fun scrolling down just to see I found the English 696, those numbers, obviously McCartney and Billy right there. And so I wanted to see like what other words aligned with the 696, and you'll see, in this list, the name Rothschild comes up, peace symbol comes up, Babylon's God comes up, yes, he is God comes up, yikes, you get glorious, Prince of Peace, illuminate, angel of light, you get Saturnalia equals 696 in the English gematria. Just very interesting, I find it very funny that, all of this stuff kind of aligns as it does with the numbers, and, the 3, 6, and 9s are always there with Billy and his work. It's just blatant, and it's always fun to see that come through. So I thought, in light of the numerology, that I would quickly take a look at the different episodes and see like what kind of each episode entailed. I looked at episodes 6 and 9, since we're on the 696 vibe. And so I just wanted to see like what kind of, tracks did he have. And this information comes from the Paul McCartney Project website. And so there are just basic, basic songs on this episode, but then he gets to Mother Nature's son, right? Born a poor young country boy, Mother Nature's son. There is he plays at the very end, Act 3 and Act 4 from Damir's Law, and this is an actual animated movie that him and Linda did together that put the artist Dalmir his art to animation, basically. And Billy wrote 6 pieces of music for this movie, and each had a title, which was number 1 was right, number 2 was wrong, 3 was punish. 3 was justice, 4 punishment, 5 payment, and 6 release. How symbolic is that? And he played it on his 6th episode of Ubu Joobu. He played justice and punishment. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I just find that very symbolic. So I looked at episode number 9. He goes through like Jet, the Ubu Joobu intro. Then he gets to a song called Keep Under Cover. And he gets to a song at the very end called Don't Break the Promise. I found that very symbolic. Just, don't break the promise, keep under cover, you're Paul McCartney now, right? So with episode 6, he's talking about born a poor young country boy, Mother Nature's son, then talking about, getting, playing music from this movie about, where he made these 6 pieces of music with these titles of right, wrong, justice, punishment, payment, and release. How symbolic is that, for number 6, the 6th episode, his number, and then get to the 9th episode and you're talking about keeping the promises that you made and keeping undercover. I think there's a line in that Keeping Undercover song where he says, what's the point of a puzzle if you haven't got a clue? Again, he loves to leave clues, as we have discovered in many, many of his songs. Looking at the lyrics of all of his songs, all the clues and the fun puzzles that he puts into memoirs as well. his album covers, everything is there to give full disclosure, basically, for those who have the eyes and ears to see and hear it. So that, my friends, is what I discovered about Ubu Joobu. Not only is it a great radio program that he did with lots of fun sound collages and music and whatnot and interviews, but I also believe it had some sort of magical significance. I'm not exactly sure what that magical significance is, but my gut tells me it's some sort of like abracadabra word in a way, and him saying it over and over and over again in all of these shows makes me think that it has some sort of magical significance to it. And it's linked to this Alfred Jarry's work, Mr. Pataphysical Science, right? Mr. Precursor to the Dada movement and the Surrealist movement. Just thinking outside of the box and just very, inspiring to Billy. Obviously, from him being in the Bonzos to the Beatles to his solo work, this guy obviously had an influence on him. So just found that to be very interesting. And again, I just wanted to share what I found with you guys. And yeah, please let me know what you think about it in the comments below, as always, guys. And thank you if you're here with me till the very end, as always. And I will see you in my next video, guys. So until then, please take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
But though they may be parted, there is still a chance, Bill, that they will see.